Hey everyone, so this is Hunter.
And this is Ava.
And so today we're going to be talking about our Global HIV project, which is the Social History Timeline of HIV from 2010 to 2014. So to start is the medical breakthroughs. There are many medical breakthroughs that occurred from the period of 2010 to 2014 for the treatment, identification, and prevention of HIV. The first one is dolutegravir, which is an HIV retroviral that was made the main source of HIV treatment for HIV positive patients around the world. This gave many more people in developed and developing countries to get the help they needed to suppress their HIV. For identification, there's the development of the at-home HIV test made in 2012. This test made it easier for people to get access for testing materials and let them know their HIV status sooner and with more accuracy. Finally, for prevention, there is the distribution of PrEP in 2012. PrEP, also known as pre-exposure prophylaxis, is used for people who are in at-risk groups like men who have sex with men and intravenous drug users to help them not contract HIV. This has led to thousands of people not contracting HIV from either their partner who are HIV positive or people who IV drug users share needles with. In terms of politics, through the period of 2010 to 2014, there were much legislation passed during the Obama administration. The first was the lifting of the HIV travel and immigration ban in 2010. This law previously did not allow anyone who is HIV positive to travel or to immigrate into the United States. This lift of the ban allowed for many people to seek asylum from countries who ostracize or even kill people for having an HIV positive status because it's directly associated with homosexuality. Next was the Patient Protection under the Affordable Care Act in 2010 as well. This allowed people who are HIV positive to not be denied treatment solely because of their HIV positive status by physicians, pharmacists, nurses, etc. Then was the development of the HOPE Act in 2013, which allowed people who were HIV positive to donate their organs to people who were also HIV positive, which they were not allowed to do before. This also helped people who were HIV positive receive organ donations, and also people who wanted to donate organs who were HIV positive were now able to do so. Finally, is the FDA lifting of the blood ban in 2015. The FDA lifting of the blood ban helps communities like men who have sex with men to donate blood if they had been celibate for a year or more in the United States. However, this has now changed to 3 months amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. The comparisons to other countries are also quite shocking. Many developed countries have lifelong bans, but countries like Brazil have no ban whatsoever. They see men who have sex with men and heterosexual men as the same, as long as the men who have sex with men show a negative HIV test. The only developed countries to have the 1-year celibacy rule still in play are Northern Ireland and the United Kingdom. And finally, for statistics in the period of 2010 to 2014, on the side of HIV, the numbers are surprising. To start, at the end of 2012, the UNAIDS estimated that there were 2.3 million new diagnoses of HIV. On top of that, they estimated that 1.6 million people died and that 35.3 million people are living with HIV globally. In addition, a 2011 study indicated that only 30% of Americans living with HIV had their virus under control, and the other 2/3 were diagnosed but no longer receiving treatment. Also, a 2014 study showed that Latinos have a very large health gap for HIV treatment due to multiple social causes like familial ties and community stigma. And as you can see here in our graph, it's a space out with all of the at-risk groups, such as white men who have sex with men, Black men who have sex with men, and I want to draw your attention to the third, which is Hispanic men who have sex with men. So they are the third highest at-risk category in the United States, but they receive a large gap in healthcare treatment for HIV compared to all the other at-risk groups, such as white and Black men who have sex with men. And this is leading to a larger health inequity and health disparity between these populations.
Moving on to the legal issues, there are several legal cases and incidents regarding HIV and AIDS in the period between 2010 and 2014. To overview some of these incidents, we first looked to a case coming out of the Northern District of Illinois, US v. Wren. This case involves the Fair Housing Act and was filed in 2013 against the landlord named Wren. The legal question involves as to whether or not it is okay for a landlord to refuse housing to a tenant due to their HIV positive status. The court ruled against Wren and awarded $15,000 to the aggrieved party. While 2015 may seem late for the courts to have been ruling on this sort of issue, this is significant because as of a 2019 sociological study coming out of George Washington University, most European countries still do not treat sexual orientation or HIV status as protected groups under their version of fair housing laws. Instead, those laws tend to consider only race and gender protected groups. The next legal issue involved is not a court case, but rather a settlement between the Modern Hairstyle Institute in Puerto Rico and the plaintiff. The complaint was filed with regards to the Americans with Disabilities Act and alleged that the cosmetology school refused to enroll a student due to their HIV positive status. The complaint was settled out of court in 2010 and involved an $8,000 payment to the complainant and an order for the cosmetology school to cease and desist requesting HIV status from prospective students, among several other orders. Moving on to pop culture, there's 3 films during this time involving HIV and AIDS that we want to look at. So the movies are as follows: How to Survive a Plague in 2012, The Dallas Buyers Club in 2013, and Normal Heart in 2014. The Dallas Buyers Club grossed $52 million with a budget of $5 million and included cast members such as Matthew McConaughey, Jennifer Garner, and Jared Leto, so big name Hollywood stars. The film is especially significant because Ron Woodruff, a real-life person who the film is based on, did not belong to an at-risk group, while other characters involved in the film do. Woodruff contracts the disease after having sex with a straight female who was an intravenous drug user. And notably, Jared Leto's character is both a transgender woman and a person who uses intravenous drugs, named Rayon. Other patients in the film are men who have sex with men. The film is also interesting for its portrayal of a buyers club, which refers to the community-based collection and distribution of non-FDA approved drugs from foreign countries. In the film specifically, the countries are Mexico, Israel, Japan, Canada, and several others. The drugs include vitamins, proteins, and other experimental treatment options that were scorned by the FDA. The tension in this film between the FDA and other government organizations and the community being impacted is clear and runs throughout the plot. Similarly, The Normal Heart, a movie produced for TV in 2014, went on to win several Primetime Emmy Awards and Golden Globe Awards. The screenplay was written by Larry Kramer, and Julia Roberts stars as Dr. Emma Bruckner, another big-name Hollywood actress. The film has been compared to And the Band Played On for its portrayal of the angst and fear that gripped the community of men who had sex with men during this time. Though unlike And the Band Played On, The Normal Heart takes place in New York City during the early 1980s and addresses many of the same issues. Moving on.
Thank you all for listening to our presentations, and here is our works cited.